Hey everybody, it's Heather Nichols here, and I wanted to talk to you today about business. Have you ever felt like you've put a whole lot into your business and had it not yield in the way that you wanted it to? I think that's a pretty common thing for entrepreneurs. And one of the things that I wanted to play with today on this video is actually really getting a sense, like starting to talk to your business more, getting a sense of, where it's at, how it's going, how it's doing. And also with a sense of like really acknowledging that businesses have their own cycles. They have their own rhythms. They have their own kind of phases that they go through. And if we're not in sync with that, then we can actually do more harm than good by doing too much. It's kind of like a child. If you have children or, know anybody that has, well, I guess you probably know somebody, right? Like your parents, right? But when you have a baby, like my babies were very, very full on when they were newborns. They wanted to be held all the time. We couldn't really put them down. They feed, they are awake, they don't sleep on their own. And I always had a joke that, once my kids could walk, talk, eat, go to the bathroom and sleep by themselves, that I was like home free in a lot of ways. Because in the beginning of a child's life, obviously there's a lot that goes into that, nurturing that child, nurturing the baby, keeping them, they start walking. And I call that the keep your kid alive phase of life, where they start walking and you need to make sure they don't, go out into the street because they don't even know what the street is at that point. So there's all these phases. And my newborns wanted to be held all the time. Now, my first son is going to be 19 in a few months. And if I held him all the time, that would be absolutely ridiculous. It would be obnoxious. It would be inappropriate. I would be, I would need to do some therapy or something. But that's kind of what we do with our businesses, is we don't acknowledge where they are in the phases of things, in the cycles of life, and the phases of development. And if you're starting a business, your business might actually really need to be tended to a lot, and that's part of the beginning of a business. It's part of, creating a new business. But if you've had your business for a while and you treat it like it's a new business, you could actually be stifling the growth of your business and inhibiting what is possible. Sometimes businesses just like some breathing room, as we all do, and if you've ever been around somebody who's hovered over you or tried to, they wanted to be with you all the time or whatever, that's stifling, and most of us don't like that, don't want that. And we will not thrive in those circumstances. And your business is the same way. Now, if you have a brand new business and you're like, oh, I should just be able to, ask and receive and have everything show up and not have to do anything, that's not appropriate either, because new businesses require a lot of care and energy and input, to get them actually as a substantial creation in the world. And when you're not, if you're, kind of living in fantasy of like, well, I just ask and receive as my reality, which please do cultivate the reality of ask and receive with your business and your whole life and creation. It's amazing what shows up. But don't do it in such a way that's really about fantasy. It's like, be pragmatic about it. And if you have a new business, it's going to, not only does it require the things like, getting a website and whatever you're doing to put it out into the world. It doesn't have to be a website, but could be. Often that's helpful. But be looking at, what is, like, this thing might need your attention on a very daily basis, and you can still give it attention and really tend to what is needed with it, and give yourself space. That's really important for entrepreneurs. Make sure that you're giving yourself space and that you're taking care of you, taking care of your body. But acknowledge where it is. Where is your business? And there's cycles too. There's times like my business lately we've been putting a lot of energy into what I call like cleanup. So like, just creating some new systems, cleaning up some things that needed to be cleaned up, and instituting things that we've been wanting to do for a while, and we're just starting an internship program and things like that are like more kind of background activities that businesses require, that they're not necessarily directly income generating, but they create this fertile ground for the future of the business. And sometimes that's really, the business requires a lot of that, and then sometimes it's more, hey, let's go have, let's be creating a lot of cash flow and really focused on the revenue and the cash flow. And it's not about not focusing on the cash flow at other times, but it's like just acknowledging like, where is the business right now and what is it requiring? Is it requiring space? Is it requiring cleanup? Is it requiring more attention on cash flow? Is it requiring innovation? Maybe it's requiring more people, more staff. Maybe it's requiring less staff. Maybe it's requiring reorganization. And maybe it's also requiring you to give it some breathing room. And I would say for most entrepreneurs, they err more on the side of not giving the breathing room to a business when that's what the business requires. And we think that if we just keep pushing and forcing and doing, and because entrepreneurs, generally speaking, are good at that. You're good at making shit happen. But if you keep doing that when that's not what the business is asking for, and it's in more of a phase of space and kind of out breath maybe, then you're not acknowledging what's actually going on. You're not in sync with it. And if you've ever had anybody in your life not be in sync with you, not acknowledge what's going on, you know how that feels. It doesn't create a greater reality, a greater future. So check in with your business, see where it's at, and respond accordingly. And sometimes taking space, giving your business space, can be challenging, and not something that's easy for entrepreneurs. So make yourself do it. Force yourself. I've had to force myself to do that a lot lately, and it's been really cool actually what's showing up, because there's a relaxation that you foster when you choose that is it becomes incredibly profitable and lucrative for the future and into the future. So have fun with it, whatever you do.